MLB's continuing role in American baseball reflects an institution that must constantly adjust to new economic realities, shifting fan expectations and the changing nature of entertainment. As the 21st century progressed, baseball faced stronger competition from the NFL, NBA, and global sports. Younger audiences gravitated toward fast-paced action, short-form digital content and on-demand consumption. MLB understood that to remain central in American sports culture, it had to refine its product and modernize its presentation without losing the depth and tradition that defined the game. This tension between preserving the past and embracing the future became a defining challenge. MLB experimented with new ways to shorten game time and increase action. These initiatives included pitch clocks, limits on pickoff attempts, changes to extra innings procedures and expanded instant replay. They were tested in the minor leagues before adoption at the major league level. Early results showed increased pace, more balls in play and stronger engagement from fans. MLB recognized that even modest rule changes could reinvigorate the sport if they aligned with how modern audiences consumed entertainment. As the league continued to adapt its rules, it also re-examined how it used technology to support fans and enhance decision-making. MLB invested in high-speed cameras and advanced tracking systems that provided data once unimaginable. Fans could analyze pitch movement, bat speed, outfield routes and defensive positioning with detailed visualizations. Coaches and front offices used these tools to refine player development and game strategy. MLB encouraged this analytical revolution by standardizing data collection and providing access to teams and broadcast partners. The rise of analytics influenced how teams evaluated talent. Front offices placed greater emphasis on-base percentage, launch angle, defensive efficiency and other metrics that changed how players approached the game. MLB became a hub for innovation, where tradition met complex statistical modeling. This shift multiplied the sport's strategic depth and attracted fans who appreciated the intellectual dimension of baseball. At the same time, MLB took care to preserve the accessibility of the sport for casual viewers, highlighting storylines, rivalries and personalities that gave baseball its emotional core. MLB's cultural presence remained powerful. Ballparks evolved into destinations offering more than a game. Stadiums added entertainment zones, family areas, local food options and interactive exhibits. Many teams integrated their history into the ballpark experience through museums, statues, and themed nights that honored past players. MLB encouraged clubs to cultivate regional identity while staying consistent with league-wide standards. These ballparks became symbols of community pride, economic development, and local culture. MLB understood that fans connected with baseball through personal expertise. MLB's evolution in the modern era reflects its effort to balance tradition with innovation, and this balance has defined the league's influence over American baseball. As television became widespread in the mid-20th century, MLB recognized that broadcasting would change how fans consumed the sport. Games were no longer limited to those who could attend in person or listen on radio. Local broadcasts connected teams to regional audiences, while national networks brought marquee matchups and the World Series to viewers across the country. MLB learned that television did more than show the game, it shaped narratives, elevated star players and created national recognition for teams that once had only local followings. This shift changed the economics of baseball. Revenues grew through advertising and network contracts, and MLB used those funds to strengthen team operations, expand markets and support competitive balance initiatives. Television also standardized how games were produced. Camera angles, commentary styles and broadcast graphics all contributed to a shared fan experience. Over time, this consistency helped reinforce baseball's identity as a national pastime, strengthening MLB's role as the central storyteller of the sport. As cable television arrived, MLB diversified its reach. Sports networks such as ESPN created programming that focused heavily on baseball analysis, highlights and daily coverage. MLB developed partnerships that guaranteed visibility throughout the season and kept fans engaged even during the off-season. The league eventually launched its own network, giving it control over content, documentaries, and live programming. This direct media presence allowed MLB to craft its own narratives about players, rivalries, and historical moments. It also showed how MLB's role extended beyond managing the sport's competitive structure to managing the public perception and cultural significance of baseball. By shaping the media landscape, MLB ensured that baseball remained relevant even as other sports rose in popularity. Football and basketball became intense competitors for attention, but MLB's constant media presence kept baseball central in sports discussions. The league's expansion continued through the second half of the 20th century, adding teams in cities such as Houston, Seattle, Toronto, Phoenix, Miami, Tampa Bay and others. Each expansion changed the geography of baseball fandom. MLB understood that to maintain national influence, it needed representation in growing metropolitan areas. These additions also required changes in structure, including expanded playoff formats and realignment of teams into different divisions. Expansion strengthened MLB's economic base and diversified the sport's fan demographics. It also influenced player development since more roster spots created demand for increased talent pipelines. MLB invested in scouting networks in Latin America, where young prospects in the Dominican Republic, Venezuela. MLB's role in American baseball begins with the deep roots of the sport itself, because before there was any organized league or major governing body, baseball existed as a cluster of local games played in open fields, factory yards, and small-town parks across the United States. It started as a community pastime in the mid-1800s, shaped by amateur clubs, local rivalries, and the desire to formalize rules so that teams could meet on fair terms. As baseball grew from a regional hobby into a national phenomenon, the need for a central structure became obvious. Teams needed standardized rules, a schedule, dispute resolution, and a system that could manage talent across states. That need eventually produced organized professional baseball and, after a long period of experimentation and competition, the creation of what is now known as Major League Baseball. But the role of MLB in American baseball is not just administrative. It has defined how the sport is played, how it is viewed, how players are developed, how fans interact with the game and how baseball fits into American life. In the late 19th century, leagues appeared and disappeared as entrepreneurs and club owners tried to turn baseball into a stable business, but the National League, created in 1876, became the first successful long-term organization. It imposed contracts, discipline, structure, and a centralized approach to scheduling. Yet the National League did not fully satisfy the demand for professional baseball, and players often felt restricted by its strict contract rules and salary limits. This created openings for rival leagues. The most important one, the American League, emerged in 1901 under the leadership of Ban Johnson, who envisioned a cleaner, more fan-friendly and player-respecting form of professional baseball. His league competed directly with the National League and quickly proved it had staying power. Instead of destroying each other, the two leagues agreed to coexist, recognize each other's contracts and operate together. That collaboration slowly evolved into a unified system, and even though the name Major League Baseball would come later, its foundations were set in place. MLB's early role centered on stabilizing the sport. It provided a predictable structure for teams, created a regular season format and introduced the idea of a championship series between the two leagues. This led to the first World Series in 1903, which became an annual tradition and eventually the most celebrated event in the sport. The existence of the World Series did more than crown champions. It helped shape the national identity of baseball. It gave fans across the country a shared event, a moment that connected cities and created narrative drama around teams and players. That sense of continuity became one of MLB's most powerful contributions to American baseball. It gave the sport a rhythm, a year-to-year story and a way for fans to invest emotionally in outcomes. As baseball moved into